Hello everybody, this is Rudra Pradhan here and welcome you all to Business Analytics for Management Decision. We are still in second unit and today's discussion is on exploring data and analytics on spreadsheet. In fact, in this unit we have already discussed couple of things in the previous 4 lectures. So, the idea is that you have to understand the data structure, then the kind of data entry, data processing, and that is how we have already discussed in details about the use of Excel, that is Excel spreadsheet. So, now once you have a data to solve some of the problems business related problems by using business analytics tools. So, it is the mandatory requirement that you have to have data first, understand the data, get insights, and then you think about some kind of advanced analytics tool to solve the business problem. But now having the data, you may not to get directly some insights, and you cannot it is not actually good to use without knowing anything about the data for a particular variable or for a set of variables. So, of course, the problem can be actually summarized in the form of a models, and the model can be summarized again with respect to some of the variables, and then the analysis will be done on the basis of available data for these variables. This is the basic kind of framework altogether. Now, once you have actually data for all these variables and for a particular problem, so first and foremost requirement is to understand the data corresponding to each variables, right, and that is how we have already discussed so many things. And I frequently or constantly instructing you that you should know more about Excel spreadsheet, because without knowing Excel spreadsheet it is very difficult to use some kind of statistical software to solve some of the business problems or to analyze the business problem, because Excel spreadsheet will give you some kind of exposure, or it will give you some kind of structure through which the techniques can be used very easily, and then you can predict the particular problems as per the problem requirement. So, we have already discussed various ways to understand the data by view options, plottings, that is nothing but called as data visualization. So, we have discussed so many actually graphical visualization process, starting with bar diagram, line diagram, pie diagram, and so on. So, these are all ways you can visualize. That means, actually to get some kind of insights from the data, you have a plenty of options. Okay. So, just same data you can actually plot in a different options or quantify in a different ways, then by default you will get some kind of insights. Now, the idea is that so the same data for for same variables, but still we are trying to understand or trying to get insights in various angles by using some of the quantitative tools and graphical tools. The only idea is that so that our insights or our inference from the data should not be kind of should not something wrong. So, if you are getting something else, then other options to check all these things will give you some kind of consistency. In statistical world, we call as kind of robustness kind of things, because same things we are same requirement you are checking through various angles, right. So, if actually your inference or insights are perfectly okay, then by default by checking any angles, any quantitative angles or qualitative angles, the results will be uniquely same. So, it will not deviate or it will not change significantly. So, it is always better same problem or whether to analyze the data or whether to understand the data. So, with at least more than one kind of tools or structure through which you have to understand the situation or to analyze the situation. And in this particular lectures, we have actually given you enough kind of exposures by using Excel spreadsheet. In fact, we have many more kind of advanced softwares through which same inspection or same insights can be obtained. For instance, in the last lectures we have discussed Excel spreadsheet through graphic kind of visualization, but I will cite you another example called as origin package. If you same data you take it to the origin software, then you will get similar kind of insights graphically also. Okay, so that means technically what I like to say, in order to understand the particular situation, in order to understand the data or the kind of analysis, so it is better to get better insights by various ways, or by different kind of process, right. So here some of the things we are supposed to discuss more about this understanding and more of this particular requirement. And corresponding to the last 4 lectures which we have actually highlighted the data structure, data view, use of Excel functions, then various examples with Excel functions, then graphical visualization. Now in this particular lectures I will give you some kind of quantitative approach or some kind of advanced kind of structure through which we can justify that and data is the insights of the data is more accurate. And then in the same times I like to highlight that Excel spreadsheet has a very handy and very useful for this kind of problems or particularly business analytics kind of requirement, right. So in this lectures we like to highlight the frequency distribution and histogram and cumulative relative frequency, computing some of the things like percentiles, percentage, then cross tabulations, pivot tables. So these are all kind of different options Excel has. Of course we have already discussed various options and various kind of features. So these are advanced features again Excel has, where the data can be visualized properly, get some kind of better insights, and then sometimes some analysis can be done through Excel, and that that analysis can help you a lot to get some kind of insights for the business problem, and then accordingly you can take some kind of management decisions. So let me give you some kind of exposure here. What are the problems that can be investigated through these tools, Excel spreadsheets, and then the kind of requirement and the kind of objectives, right. So the standard structure is first structure is histogram. This is a kind of graphical kind of structure through which you have to know the details about the particular data set and then the kind of problem requirement. In fact, you will get more detail about this particular tools or graphs in the next unit, that is in descriptive analytics, but still here the idea is actually to just justify that Excel spreadsheet has an advantage to do something as per the business analytics requirement or need, right. So here this is a standard kind of structures. In this particular spreadsheet we have actually some information that is called as 5 groups with 26,000 width, and then corresponding to each particular entry there is frequency. That means actually what we are supposed to do here, this is actually some kind of processed data, or some way you can say that it's just structured data. Let me give you some kind of exposure about the data and the kind of frequency. So initially when you will collect the data, it will be like here and there completely unstructured. Now you should just enter the data randomly in Excel sheet from beginning to end. Then with the help of a particular command you arrange the data from highest to lowest or lowest to highest. Then you check actually for every data point how many repetition is there. So number of repetition by default will take you to the kind of frequency. For instance, if 26 in this particular spreadsheet, so 26,000 is repeated in 68 times. So that means so the data is 26,000, but the numbers available is called as 68. Similarly, the data 52,000 repeated 8 times. So, as a result the frequency will be 8. So, likewise we have numbers and then the corresponding frequency. Then Excel spreadsheet has a kind of beauty that through the help of histogram it will give you some kind of exposures, right. So, in fact this table itself will give you some kind of structure. So, that means 26,068 a highest frequency, then this is 8, this is second highest, and then this is something lower frequency. So, this is actually clearly visible, but so now the same things I am plotting in a kind of structure called as a histogram that is readily available in Excel spreadsheet. So, then it will give you some kind of better kind of visualizations. Now, corresponding to 0 there is no entry. So, now 26,000. So, it is actually 68. So, this is the highest kind of entry, highest frequency. So, 50,000 less, then little bit high, then again lower, this is low. So, this clearly visualize, right. So, that means, so this is actually very handy to understand the particular structure. So, that means, histogram has a kind of structure through which it can visualize the data more accurate, and then it will give you some kind of better insights compared to some of the other Excel functions, right. So, now I will give you another kind of exposure here. So, here the entry of data, and there are compared to previous one, here there are 10 observations, and with a width of 13,000 intervals. Now, so here you see here again 0, there is no frequency. So, that means there is no 0 in this particular series. So, it will be starting with the 13,000, then ending with 130,000, right. So, then you have a different frequency. For instance, again here 13,000 is a kind of an item which is actually repeated 42 times. So, that means by default frequency is 42 here, and followed by 26,000, and the number is repeated 26 times. So, by default frequency will be reported as 26. So, so that means again I am highlighting that Excel spreadsheet has beauty that the unstructured data putting in a kind of structured format, then this particular structure by default will give you some kind of better understanding, better insights, and again with the help of some kind of graphical kind of Excel feature, you can get more better visualization, better insights, and by default it gives clear picture altogether. So, that is what actually what I can submit, that Excel spreadsheet has a kind of has an unique kind of structure through which you can understand the data and put in a kind of structured format, right. So, now coming to the another kind of angle to understand the data is called as cumulative frequencies, right. So, same thing here, same data I am using. So, the initially you start with unstructured data, then put in a structured data with frequency connections. So, 13,000 the repetition is 42 times, as a result the frequency is 42, 26,000 the repetition is 26. So, as a result frequency is 26, 39,000 the repetition is 5, as a result frequency is 5, like that you have to continue up to 130,000, right. And then the next column compared to the previous one. So, here is the kind of relative frequency. So, this is a question of relative frequency. So, what we have done actually, so relative frequency is nothing but actually individual frequency by total, right. So, then you will get some kind of relative frequency, and then this relative frequency when you add up over the entry, then by default the last entry will be actually 1. So, so this gives clear cut signal, or it is a kind of a particular format or structure format, and that brings some kind of confidence. This is nothing but actually the concept is well connected with probability. So, how many structure and sum of the probability will be equal to 1, and then the cumulative frequency will give you such kind of cross check that your entries are properly recorded, and your structure is properly arranged. So we will get to know details about the probability in the later stage, but this is a kind of structure which can give you better understanding, better exposure so far as particular data structure is concerned. So now I will means same things I am transferring into a kind of graphical option again. So instead of plotting actually numbers with frequency, so now I am plotting numbers with the cumulative frequency. Okay, so this is going in a kind of particular trend, right. So this gives actually some kind of structuring actually. So you will get better insights how the cost per order actually over the kind of structure increasing or kind of decreasing. So it will give you some kind of clarity, better clarity you can say, and that can be actually easily you can do through Excel spreadsheet. Initially when you have a first hand data or raw data, so that will not give you better visualization, and with the help of Excel, so you will get better visualization in fact, right. So so this is what actually the frequency, cumulative frequency is all about. Okay. So now another kind of Excel function is percentile. So now see whether it is a kind of histogram or is a kind of percentile or any kind of formula. So Excel has a beauty actually, some operations are already inbuilt. So just you have to give the command, automatically it will give you the kind of requirement, or if not there, you just write the formula and connect with the particular entry, then by default it will help you to give some kind of value as per your particular requirement. That means so far as structuring or the requirement is concerned, Excel is a very handy spreadsheet which can help you lot to do or process the data as per the particular requirement. In the percentile, so this is a simple standard formula, and when you have a spreadsheet, then you can use this particular formula and calculate, or else you go to the spreadsheet and use the command, then by default it will give you the kind of value. So in this particular formula, so the requirement is you have to just signify what is the number of observations and how much percentile what is the percentile you want actually. For instance, 90th percentiles, so 94, and here the observation actually 90 divided by 100, and that too plus 0.5. So this will give you the kind of percentile figure. So I will give you better explanations when you will go to the Excel spreadsheet, right. So let me first highlight, then I will take you to the Excel spreadsheet, right. So this is how the Excel spreadsheet. So same you have the data, raw data, then put equal to sign, that is the command which you are asking Excel spreadsheet to give the particular figures. That is what we call as one kind of structuring or one kind of requirement. So here actually this is what the range altogether. So that means we have actually entry G4 to G97, and our requirement is in 90 percentile. Then you just go to the particular column, put entry, then you ask for this particular requirement, you enter the data, then once you enters, then by default it will give you some kind of figures, right. So this is how the beauty of the kind of Excel spreadsheet has, right. So what I can say that it has a advanced kind of structure through which, so you can recognize the data and you can understand the data in a proper structure. The same things which Excel spreadsheet is usually like this. So you have the reporting, just with the help of a particular Excel command, then you can report actually. See here, so how the actual data is all about, and then how it will be transferred into some kind of percentile, right. So this is how the again I like to highlight that Excel spreadsheet has a beauty, all these things. So similarly you can find out quartiles. So in a kind of spreadsheet, So, you need actually quartile informations like first quartile, second quartile, third quartile, fourth quartile and so on. So, you can get to know much better, or all details in the next unit, where we like to discuss a component called as a descriptive analytics, right. So, in the meantime, you should understand the use of Excel spreadsheet, and you should know the operations, then corresponding to the operation and Excel kind of requirement, you are in a position to know more details and operate the data as per the particular requirement, right. So, this is actually a real Excel spreadsheet, and then you will find here different kind of entries, right. And of course, this is a kind of structured entry, and there is a beautiful kind of specification, but having lots of data with lots of features, lots of attributes, it is sometimes very difficult to analyze. But Excel spreadsheet has lots of different functions, and by using some of these functions you can better understand the particular problem. For instance, one such example is called as cross tabulations. So, cross tabulations with this particular tools, this particular complex tables, now it will give you a simple kind of structure where you can easily understand and you can get better insights, and then you can analyze as per the particular requirement. But the thing is that I will give you two kind of situations. See, when we are actually solving a business problem, then we need actually data. Without data, the analytics are totally useless. So, you have a data, and then with the help of a particular command or tools or a kind of structure, you have to analyze and then get some kind of insights, and with the help of these insights you can solve some of the business problem. But by the way, when you are dealing with a problem and data, so that may not be in the first end will be readily available as per your requirement. So, a particular organization or a particular sector, they may record the data as per their requirement, but when you like to use this data, so you have to transfer or you have to structure the data for your requirement. So, that is the class here, this is the classic example. So, these data are recorded as per the particular requirement of a particular organization. Now, you need actually to understand the data, and you need some kind of insights as per your problem requirement, and then you have to analyze accordingly. And in this case, Excel spreadsheet has a beauty to help you lot to get these insights as per the data availability and the kind of problem requirement, right. So, now the same same structure whatever available there. So, now if I will summarize in a particular structure through spreadsheet, then it will give you better insights, and it will give you very simple structure to understand the reality. You see, whatever data is there with many attributes. So, now I will streamline and little bit simplify, and then I will indicate that this will give you some kind of better insights for from this particular big data. So, I am actually clustering here that region wise classification, and then book sellings and DVD sellings. So, how book selling is differing from one region to another region, and then like this actually. So, this is actually kind of book selling, and this is a DVD selling, and from one region to another region in India, and then in percentage how it is actually changing. In sometimes you may not actually recognize properly in terms of absolute figure, but having percentage or relative transformation, you can better understand and can have a better comparison, right. So, again this will give you the total of book sellings, and then region wise classification. Similarly, DVD has a total kind of sale, and this is region wise classification. Then here in this table you like to know which region is having high percentage of book selling, and which region having high DVD selling. So, means again, so what I like to say that Excel has a beauty to analyze this particular problem and simplify the particular structure and give you better insights as per your problem requirement, right. So, then So this is another kind of looks, that was quantitative kind of structuring through which you have to get insights as per your problem requirement and problem analysis. And here this is another kind of view, graphical view, through which actually you have to understand the particular structure and then get the particular insights. So, the same things, but we are putting in a different structure so that you can understand very easily. Everything we are putting in a particular structures, the red signal is nothing but called as DVD structure, and the blue signal is nothing but book structure. So, it will give you that So, from this particular plotting, here actually you have to go in depth and look into the particular picture, but in the graphic you will find in the western zone it is actually highest selling both in book as well as DVD. It gives clear signal here, where in the northern side and eastern side, northern side it is lower and compared to other regions. So, that means again what I say like to say that Excel has a beauty to give some kind of better exposure and better insight to understand the problem, to understand the data, and to get some kind of insights as per the problem requirement. Okay. So, now I will give you another kind of look. So, there is another toolbox called as pivot tables. So, the pivot tables will help you again some kind of better insights from the complex kind of problem, and Excel has a beauty to bring the problem in a kind of means transfer the particular problem and bring the analysis as per the particular structure through which you can understand and get some kind of better insights, right. So, these are the things I am actually like to connect with the pivot tables. So, you have actually 4 different structure in the pivot tables, then corresponding to a particular problems you have to analyze as per the problem requirement. Let me take you to these particular structures. Okay. For that pivot tables, so what I will do, so let me take you to the a problem in the Excel sheet, then I will connect with this problems, right. So, first actually I like to show how histogram can be connected with this particular Excel sheet. So, let us say this is a random data, and we have actually generated here from 10 to 50, and then we like to actually show you how the diagram histograms can visualize properly. Okay. So, go to this data, then go to the data analysis package, and by default you will find here is a package called as histogram. Just you put OK, then you give the input range here. The input range is here actually A to 2, then whatever available here is up to say 35, and then bin range is already been given, that is actually the range available in this particular series is okay. So, I put in the wrong place. Okay, let me give another same histogram. Okay. So, first you put this entry A to 2 like 35. Be careful if the entry or the command is not correct, then you will not get actually the as per the requirement. Then you put the entry like this, then you look the chart output here. There are many different forms it is there. So, you just put chart output, then it will give you some kind of express. This is what the histogram can be obtained here, right. I'll little bit enhance so that you can visualize this. So, the same data it will be transferred into this frequency distribution, and then with the help of series and the frequency distribution, the histogram can be plotted. So, that means what I like to say that Excel has a beauty actually to use the data, and with the help of some functions it will give you some kind of insights to understand the problem and to predict the problem as per the problem requirement. Then I will take you to the another kind of structure here. So, let us say the pivot table concept here. Let me give you little bit enhance here. So, in this pivot tables case, so I am taking these examples. We have a customer ID, and against customer ID we have a income, grade, then performance, right. So, we like to analyze it because there are 3 attributes are there corresponding to customers. So, we like to grade them, and now looking this data, it is like it is a very complex to understand reality, but Excel has a lots of functions So, some of the function can help you lot to understand this particular problem, and then it will help you lot to get some kind of insight as per the problem requirement. So, now I like to solve this problem through pivot tables. Then you go to the Excel sheet again, then put the insert option. Then in the insert option extreme corners you will find a item called as pivot tables. We have already highlighted this. Then you just click, then pivot table will be by default will be appeared here. So, once you will you will get the pivot table, you just put OK options. Now, here in the pivot tables you will find these are following 4 options corresponding to this particular problem. So, now I am putting here actually some of the options. Now, I am putting income to the value options. Then I am putting here the customer ID a customer ID to the raw operations, and I am putting grade into column. Then I am putting performance into filter. Okay. So, that means you have to just give any indications corresponding to this data, and now by default you will find the layout here. By default you will find the layout here. I am just enlarging it. So, you see here the kind of requirement. So, now check here, see here the first hand information, and now the second. The first hand information is like this, and the second hand informations after using the pivot tables. So, it will be appearing like this. So, this is actually giving you some kind of classifications with respect to different attributes, right. So, your performance is actually corresponding to this performance. You can change this particular option. Here we have actually different kind of divisions like average, excellent, good and performance. Then you just click one particular options, then it will give you again it will give you some kind of requirement. Again you change this average to kind of excellent, then it will give you some kind of exposure. So, now corresponding to grade and your kind of income and ID. So, you will get some kind of better kind of informations from the original data, then get some kind of insights, and that insights will help you lot to solve some of the business problems. Again the performance can be obtained, again you change to goods, then again it will change like this. So, that means actually see. So, we are actually what is actually required here. So, your first hand entry in the Excel should be perfect. So, if you enter the data perfectly and in a kind of structured format, and all entries are correct, so you have to be very careful and cross check it. So, once your entry is correctly correct and correctly structured, and then from that particular entry you can understand easily, or through some kind of graphs or something like quantitative tools, you can get some kind of better insights, better understanding. Then if still it is not feasible or possible, so you can use some kind of Excel tools like the cited example which I have highlighted here, like percentile, quartile, histograms, then pivot tables, cross tabulation. So, all these tools are there and that will help you lot to analyze the problem in as per the particular requirement, and to understand the particular problem in a more attractive way, because ultimately the requirement is that only entering the data corresponding to the variables or corresponding to a particular attribute is not enough actually. So, when you need actually a solution for a problem, and that to the through some kind of analytics business analytics tools, you must be very careful how is your entry. So, your entry should be very much what I can say perfectly correct, and it should be in a kind of proper structure, because if any kind of mistake or any kind of uneven situation will there, then you may not be in a position to analyze these problems, because it is well connected with whatever items or package you like to use for further investigation to get insights, it is well connected with your initial entry, or that is what is called as a first end entry or raw data. If your first end entry raw data is not actually correct or proper, then the entire insights will be getting affected. So, you must be very careful how you have to enter the data. So, be ensure that it will be correctly specified. Then you should know the entire function of Excel's and Excel spreadsheet and their functionality, various features, various operation, because this will give you enough kind of exposure or opportunity to understand the data, to get insights, and then to get some kind of better inference as per your problem requirement, and then you may be in a position to solve some of the business problems, and then you will be in a position to take some kind of management decision. So, so the final thing is that what I like to say is that so your problem is nothing but actually the understanding of data, the data visualizations, and to get insights as per your problem requirement. So, in this particular unit we have discussed all these details, and then I have already highlighted all these details. So, in the meantime, what I like to say that in this particular lectures we have discussed some of the important features of Excels, or some kind of functionality like histogram, frequency distribution, percentile, quartile, cross tabulations, pivot tables. So, likewise we have also discussed several functional or operations in the Excel sheet, and the only submission is that if you are very handy in Excel and all these Excel operations, then by default some of the analytics can be easily processed, or then you can solve some problems as per your problem requirement, and then again it will help you to take some kind of better management decision. So, so the final submission is that be careful about the data understanding, data entry, data visualizations, then Excel operations, any kind of spreadsheet operation. So, that the idea is that since it is the game of data and the data processing, so you should be very much careful how to know, how to enter, how to process all these data. So, once you are familiar with all these processing through Excel spreadsheet, then for advanced kind of requirement and advanced kind of analysis, it will be help you lot to quickly proceed and quickly get some kind of inference, because some of the complex problem, when you have a more number of variables and more data, then and if you have no idea how to enter, how to process, how to operate, then it will have a some kind of negative kind of environment, where you are not in a position to analyze the particular problem in a quick time and as per your requirement. So, you must be very careful how to know all these things and how to operate all these things. With this we will stop here. Thank you very much. Have a nice time.